You are watching Toon Matrix. Please watch previous part for better understanding.
In the previous part, Kang Mu provoked Pildu by telling him to come and find him if he truly wanted revenge for his mother. Now, the scene opens with a brutal sight. Someone with a shredded back is seen boxing, while blood slowly drips from the punching bag in front of him. With every strike, the violence in the room becomes more intense. Soon, it is revealed that the person throwing those punches is Kang Mu. He hits the punching bag with such overwhelming force that the chain holding it snaps, sending the entire bag flying backward. But even after that, Kang Mu merely comments that this still is not enough to get him started. Then he coldly orders his men to take out the trash. Only then does the horrifying truth come to light. A man had been trapped inside the punching bag, and the blood spilling from it was the result of Kang Mu's merciless assault. After this, Kang Mu asks about the progress of the task he assigned. Chung Sun replies that they are searching everywhere for it. Kang Mu says that he gave them some freedom because they were his younger brothers, but now they are clearly trying to take more than they were allowed. He adds that he already knew Taegu was the type to act that way, but he never expected Pildu to do the same. While buttoning up his shirt, Kang Mu orders everyone to move as quickly as possible, saying they cannot afford even the smallest problem with his father's election approaching. Chung Sun hands him his blazer and replies that he understands the order and will carry it out. Kang Mu then tells them to keep a close watch on Taegu and everyone around him, because Taegu has been unusually quiet lately. Chung Sun warns that it could be dangerous, since Taegu might discover the mole hole they had dug. Kang Mu tells him to keep their distance and simply listen in on Taegu's plans. Irritated, he asks whether he has to personally explain every little detail to them. Chung Sun apologizes and says he will try to do better. But Kang Mu says he is tired of hearing "sorry" used as an excuse. He then calls Chung Sun closer. As Chung Sun lowers his head, Kang Mu grabs him and shows him his shoe. There is a single drop of blood on it. Kang Mu asks whether Chung Sun would not feel ashamed if his boss walked around looking like that. He says Chung Sun used to be far more capable than this, and tells him to show his old skills after such a long time. Chung Sun glances behind him and notices his men laughing after seeing the humiliating state he is in. Kang Mu asks if he can no longer do it. Chung Sun immediately replies that he will handle it right away. He then lowers himself and prepares to wipe the blood from Kang Mu's shoe with his tongue. Kang Mu, wearing a cruel smirk, says Chung Sun is good at this and tells him to do better from now on. Time shifts to nighttime. A white car is parked by the roadside. From a nearby house, Chung Sun steps out while yawning, wondering if it is already time for his shift. The same white car remains parked in front of the house, and someone is watching it from a distance. The person observing them remarks that it was expected, but the two of them are always together. It is then revealed that the one keeping watch is none other than Kang Pildu. Pildu says that if he wants to meet his second brother, he must first deal with Chung Sun. He already knew that getting close to Kang Mu would not be easy. Sometime later, Pildu walks toward the house while Chung Sun sits near the entrance. Over Chung Sun's radio, someone asks if he has noticed anything. Chung Sun replies that nothing has happened yet and tells the others to go home, saying he will finish things there himself. Pildu stops in front of him and says that Chung Sun does not even look surprised, perhaps because situations like this happen often. Chung Sun replies that he actually is surprised, because Pildu is the first person to come alone. As Chung Sun stands up, he says he does not know what business Pildu has with his boss, but asks if he can simply go home for the night. He stretches his hand and adds that tomorrow is his payday, so he does not want to deal with any trouble on such a good day. Pildu ignores his words, tightens his grip on the hammer, and charges forward. Chung Sun becomes annoyed and remarks that this is exactly why being a salaryman is so difficult. Pildu swings the hammer at him, but Chung Sun ducks beneath the attack and avoids it. In the next instant, he delivers a powerful uppercut. Chung Sun says he expected something like this, but he never thought Pildu would actually show up. Pildu says Chung Sun is still the same as before. It is then revealed that Chung Sun is a former MMA second-place champion. Chung Sun replies that he has changed a great deal, and that it has been a very long time. He then asks Pildu whether he truly came there to fight his own brother. He says he knows it is none of his business, but wonders what good could possibly come from fighting family. He suggests that Pildu should simply beg his brother for forgiveness. Pildu replies that this is a family matter, and Chung-sun has nothing to do with it. Chung-sun tells him not to be so cold, saying he understands Pildu's position and that it is not as if he does not know him either. But Pildu, with a serious expression, says he did not come there to talk or relax. If Chung-sun refuses to move, then Pildu has no other choice. After saying this, Pildu rushes toward him again. Chung-sun says Pildu talks exactly like his brother, and that it irritates him. Pildu swings his hammer, but Chung-sun punches his hand, forcing him to drop it. Chung-sun then moves in to attack, but Pildu dodges the punch. The two of them immediately engage in close-range combat. However, Chung-sun soon overpowers Pildu and lands a heavy punch to his face. Blood bursts from Pildu's nose and mouth as he falls to the ground, coughing while more blood spills out. Chung-sun approaches him with a cold smirk and asks if that is all Pildu has, even though he planned to face his brother and all of Seonhwa. He tells Pildu not to get arrogant and orders him to come along. The scene then shifts to Kang Mu sitting on his bed, with a young woman sleeping behind him. Kang Mu remarks that the punk actually came all the way there. Returning to the fight, Chung-sun tells Pildu that he has nothing personal against him and is only doing his job. He grabs Pildu by the collar and begins dragging him toward the house. But suddenly, Chung-sun senses something strange and turns around. Pildu has already risen to his feet. Chung-sun remarks that Pildu still has enough strength left to stand, while Pildu continues to breathe heavily. As Chung-sun prepares to strike, he says Pildu is just as stubborn as his brother and asks whether he really has to go this far. Pildu suddenly grabs Chung-sun and drives him backward, slamming him into the wall. Chung-sun counters by striking Pildu's back with his elbow at full force. Pildu screams in pain and loosens his grip. Seizing that opening, Chung-sun dives in for a punch. But Pildu tackles him again and slams him into the wall once more. Gritting his teeth, Chung-sun realizes that Pildu is trying to close the distance because he is at a disadvantage in direct combat. Pildu prepares to punch again, and Chung-sun raises his guard. However, he quickly realizes that the first punch was only a feint. Pildu slips in and lands another hit. After more intense action, Pildu is seen sitting on top of Chung-sun, strangling him. While being choked, Chung-sun says he had forgotten that Pildu is Kang Mu's younger brother, and that realization only makes him angrier. Chung-sun then strikes Pildu from behind with his knee, forcing him to release his grip and slide across the ground. Pildu gets back up and charges straight toward him again. Chung-sun also rises and says that Kang Mu ordered him to bring Pildu in, but never said that Pildu had to arrive in one piece. Pildu throws a hook, but Chung-sun ducks beneath it and goes for his leg. He wraps himself around Pildu's leg and uses advanced grappling to bring him down, locking one of his legs in the process. Chung-sun smiles and asks if Pildu truly thought closing the distance would give him the advantage. Then he begins twisting Pildu's leg. Pildu nearly bites through his own lips while enduring the pain. Chung-sun applies even more pressure, and Pildu begins screaming. Chung-sun tells him to give up, warning that his leg will break if this continues. Pildu taps Chung-sun's leg, signaling surrender. Chung-sun releases him. But the moment he does, Pildu locks Chung-sun's leg in his arms and gives him a cunning smile. Chung-sun realizes at once that Pildu never intended to surrender. He also realizes that his own leg may actually break. He shouts that Pildu will regret it if he breaks his leg. Then, a sharp cracking sound is heard. In the next panel, Pildu walks toward the house while Chung-sun lies on the ground, clutching his broken leg. Trembling from the pain, Chung-sun says it may have ended this way for him, but it will not end the same way for Pildu. He warns that Kang Mu will not go easy on him simply because he is his younger brother. Chung-sun tells Pildu that he does not understand Kang Mu at all. He explains that everyone believes he follows Kang Mu for money, but that is nonsense. They only say that because they do not know the truth. While struggling to sit up, Chung-sun says Pildu should already know that he never defeated Kang Mu. In fact, he never even imagined winning against him. To Kang Mu, fights were always meaningless games. They were never about victory or defeat. They were about forcing the opponent to kneel. And anyone who refused to kneel until the very end would be broken, even if Kang Mu had to kill them. That is the kind of person Kang Mu is. Chung-sun says Kang Mu never takes a fight he might lose. He advises Pildu to think carefully, because once he steps beyond that door, he may truly die. He tells Pildu to run, hide, and live somewhere else. That is the only way to survive, and Chung-sun himself had to do the same. Pildu replies that he wanted to do that too, but he no longer has anywhere left to hide. Pildu then approaches the house and rings the doorbell. The sound echoes through the interior. Kang Mu is seen coming out, stretching and swinging his arms as he walks toward the main door. When the door opens, Pildu is standing outside with a deadly glare in his eyes. The instant the door opens, Pildu charges in to punch. But suddenly, a young woman steps out and calls, "Honey." Pildu stops just in time, and the woman collapses to the floor in shock. Chung-sun bursts into laughter and says he thought Pildu would leave after hearing his warning, but it turns out Pildu is more of a man than he expected. Still laughing, he adds that greeting his sister-in-law with a punch is something else, though it probably does not matter, since Pildu has more than one. Pildu approaches Chung-sun and, in a serious tone, asks whether he looks like he is in the mood for jokes. Then he asks where Kang Mu is. Chung-sun replies that if he reveals Kang Mu's location, he will be signing his own death warrant. Pildu steps on Chung-sun's broken leg, making him scream in pain. Pildu tells him to speak before his leg becomes useless for life. Chung-sun replies, "To hell with this leg," and asks whether Pildu has any idea who Kang Mu really is. He says Kang Mu is the president of one of Seonhwa's subsidiaries, meaning Pildu cannot simply touch him. Gritting his teeth through the pain, Chung-sun gives Pildu one final piece of advice: give up now, before it is too late. Pildu sits down and replies that he likes advice. Then he says he will give Chung-sun one as well. With a threatening look, he tells Chung-sun that if he does not reveal Kang Mu's location, then he will die by Pildu's hand instead of Kang Mu's. The scene changes to a large mansion. 3 beaten men are kneeling on the ground while several others surround them. Someone says he thought he would not be disturbed, at least while sleeping, and asks the kneeling men how they knew he was there when the information was classified. Terrified, one of the men replies that he does not know what Kang Mu is talking about and insists that he was simply waiting for a friend in his car. It is then revealed that this is Kang Mu's mansion. While looking through the photos on a camera, Kang Mu tells the man to come up with a better lie next time. When the man tries to speak again, he is struck in the face. Kang Mu says he does not care that the man was secretly investigating him. Then he asks whether the friend the man was waiting for was supposed to be Kang Mu himself. With a frightening expression, Kang Mu holds the camera like a weapon and asks, "Am I your friend?" Then he begins beating the man mercilessly, causing blood to splatter everywhere. One of Kang Mu's underlings then asks him to look at something and hands him the man's ID card. Kang Mu checks it and remarks that the man belongs to Seonhwa Group's business support department, the department under his elder brother. Kang Mu concludes that his elder brother still does not trust him, even after he has done everything he was told. His underling asks what they should do next, wondering if they should quietly take care of the matter. Kang Mu says he will not stay still if this is how his brother wants to play. He orders his men to send the man back exactly as he is. The men, still concerned, suggest that they should at least investigate why he sneaked in. But Kang Mu throws the camera at one of them and asks whether they cannot hear him. As the man who sneaked in is taken away, Kang Mu steps outside for a smoke. While smoking, he asks about team leader Choi's whereabouts. One of his men replies that he is probably standing guard at Kang Mu's house. Kang Mu orders them to call him. As the man takes out his phone, he asks whether Kang Mu has a specific instruction for team leader Choi. With an angry expression, Kang Mu says that before the major event with his elder brother, Chung-sun should prepare a fighter Kang Mu can use to relieve his stress. Returning to Pildu, Chung-sun tells him that he has already said multiple times that he does not know what has gotten into Kang Mu recently. Kang Mu does not like staying in one place for long, and he has hired more bodyguards than before, only those with strong reputations in the industry. Chung-sun warns that going to Kang Mu alone is suicide. Pildu replies that it does not matter. Chung-sun says it does matter, because if Pildu fails, Kang Mu will figure everything out with his sharp instincts, and Chung-sun will be the one to suffer. Chung-sun smokes his cigarette, puts it out, and finally tells Pildu that there is one place Kang Mu likes to visit alone. The problem is that no one knows exactly when he goes there, since he visits whenever he feels like it. Chung-sun says he will contact Pildu when he receives a call, and tells him to wait for now. Pildu replies that if he intended to wait, he would not have come this far. Chung-sun remarks that Pildu is impatient. At that moment, he receives a call. He answers, and the person on the other end asks for something immediately. Chung-sun replies that he will be there. Then, while looking up at Pildu, he tells the caller that he will prepare it shortly. The scene shifts to a factory area, where a white car stops nearby. Chung-sun explains that Seonhwa owns 145 factories across the country. With that many factories, no one outside would know what happens inside, and Kang-moo understands that better than anyone. He explains that only the driver and secretary will be stationed at the entrance because the place must remain highly confidential. Then he tells Pildu that if he goes to the third storage room, he will see it for himself. Chung-sun asks what Kang-moo does there, then answers the question himself. It is a hobby that only Kang-moo enjoys. In a factory where no one can stop him, Kang-moo ignores every rule and plays a game created solely for himself. As Pildu approaches Kang-moo still does not realize who has arrived. Without turning around, Kang-moo says the person may take as much money as they want if they manage to beat him. Pildu asks what happens if he wants something other than money. Kang-moo, while massaging his fingers, asks what he wants. Pildu, with a serious expression, replies that he wants only one thing: the name of the person who killed his mother. Hearing this, Kang-moo sighs and curses Chung-sun. Angered, he says there truly is no one in this world he can trust. Pildu replies that he does not have that problem, because he never trusted anyone from the beginning, especially his family. Kang-moo says he truly hates Pildu's attitude, and that this attitude is exactly why the family abandoned him. Pildu answers that the family did not abandon him. He was the one who abandoned the family. Kang-moo says that when Pildu declared he would live away from the family, he was not surprised at all. In fact, he thought it was only natural. He then grabs a bundle of money and throws the notes into the air. Pildu remains still, glaring through the falling bills. Suddenly, a punch comes flying toward him, but Pildu steps back and avoids it. Kang-moo comments that Pildu really is different. Most people would have been blinded by the money, but Pildu has no interest in it at all. That, Kang-moo says, is exactly why Pildu never fit in with them. Not only the family, but Seonhwa itself has no need for someone like him. After saying that, Kang-moo rushes forward and attacks. Pildu blocks the punch, but the force still damages him. Kang-moo follows up with a kick to Pildu's face, then lands a roundhouse kick that sends him flying backward. As Pildu struggles to recover, Kang-moo says he is sure Pildu did not come all the way there just to joke around, and urges him to take the fight more seriously. Breathing heavily, Pildu stands and says Kang-moo is talking too much for someone who has not shown much yet. Kang-moo becomes furious. He shouts that Pildu has changed since the last time he saw him. Then he surged forward with explosive power, unleashing a relentless, bone-crushing barrage of heavy punches and lethal kicks that overwhelmed Pildu. When Kang-moo tries to strike with his elbow, Pildu steps back and avoids the attack. Kang-moo says Pildu was lucky, because if that elbow had landed, he would already be on the ground. Pildu's face is bruised and torn, with blood running from his nose. He wipes it away and prepares to continue. Kang-moo asks how long Pildu plans to keep running away like a rat. He says that if Pildu is only there to waste time, then he will help him hear the answer directly from their mother herself. Pildu glances toward a nearby shelf and notices a screwdriver lying there. He replies that he did come to hear the answer. Then he provokes Kang-moo by asking when he plans to actually start trying. Outside the factory, someone is watching the situation. One of them reports over the phone that Pildu and Kang-moo have met, and that no one inside has come out yet. It is revealed that the observers are the same two people who had gone to Kang-moo's villa. From their conversation, it becomes clear that their purpose there was to create a misunderstanding between Kang-moo and Kang Cha-wook. One person asks what they should do next. The other replies that everything is fine, because if Kang-moo notices them, things will only become more complicated. He tells the man to take a few days off to avoid suspicion and to think of it as a vacation. It is then revealed that the one who created the misunderstanding is Kang Tae-gu. He says that all the power in the universe is coming toward him. Chi-gyu asks whether it will not be game over if Kang-moo catches Pildu while they simply remain idle. Tae-gu replies, "Catch? Who?" and asks why Chi-gyu would ruin his mood with that kind of talk. Chi-gyu says his boss already knows what Kang-moo is like. He reminds Tae-gu that during the last incident at the bidding warehouse, Kang-moo fought against the gangsters of Gangbuk by himself and won without taking any damage. Tae-gu puts out his cigarette and says he knows Kang-moo is obsessed with fighting. But Pildu is different. Pildu will do anything to get what he wants. He is a psycho, and he will definitely cause trouble. Back inside the factory, Kang-moo lunges forward to punch Pildu. At that moment, Pildu grabs the screwdriver and tries to drive it into him. But to Pildu's surprise, Kang-moo catches the screwdriver with his bare hands. Kang-moo says he knows Pildu too well and had already expected something like this. He then kicks Pildu with a heavy blow, sending him flying backward. Holding the screwdriver, Kang-moo says he thought only Tae-gu would resort to using tools like this, but it seems Pildu is just as dirty. He asks whether Pildu is some kind of thug, and whether that is why their mother sent him away like that. He then questions why their mother reached out to a selfish punk like Pildu for help. Kang-moo says she should have stayed home, though complaining about it now will not change anything. While Kang-moo is talking, Pildu glances behind him and notices a patch of cement. Kang-moo charges forward, shouting at Pildu to focus on the fight. Pildu uses that moment to grab a handful of cement and throw it at Kang-moo. The cement gets into Kang-moo's eyes, temporarily blinding him. Seeing the opening, Pildu begins punching Kang-moo repeatedly without letting up. After several minutes, Pildu grows exhausted and starts breathing heavily. When his barrage finally slows, Kang-moo peeks out from his guard and asks if Pildu is already finished, or if he wants to try a little more. Pildu throws another punch. But this time, Kang-moo retaliates with full force and knocks him backward. While Pildu struggles through the pain, Kang-moo says that when he thinks about it, he has nothing to gain from beating him. He suggests that Pildu should forget what happened to their mother and quietly work for his company instead. Kang-moo says that once Pildu gets his hands on some money, he will forget about something as trivial as this. Pildu replies that he does not like being tied to dirty work. He says he saw Kang-moo's accounting report and noticed that Kang-moo had become careless with waste disposal because of a shortage of funds. It is illegal to store waste in the factory and dump it on a rainy day. While holding the valve, Pildu cites a clause from the Korean Waste Control Act, stating that Kang-moo could face up to 7 years in prison or a fine of up to 70 million won. Annoyed, Kang-moo tells him to stop acting like a nerd and demands that he take his hand off the valve because it is expensive. Pildu grips the valve with both hands and says, "Let me simplify, put the trash in the trash bin." Then he turns the valve. The stored gas begins spreading through the factory. Kang-moo covers his mouth to avoid inhaling it and shouts that the gas is toxic. But to his surprise, Pildu charges straight toward him, and the two brothers clash once again. Sometimes Pildu lands a punch. Sometimes Kang-moo strikes back. The fight continues with both of them refusing to fall. Then Pildu grabs Kang-moo and starts punching him mercilessly. Kang-moo grabs Pildu in return and answers with punches of his own. They continue beating each other until the toxic gas begins draining their strength. Both of them start breathing heavily, weakened by the lack of clean air. Finally, they release each other and prepare for one final exchange. Both put everything they have left into one last attack. Their blows connect at the same time, and both of them collapse backward onto the ground. Kang-moo lies on the floor, gasping for air as the lack of oxygen takes its toll. Then he sees Pildu crawling toward him with the screwdriver in his hand. Kang-moo tries to push him away with his legs, but he fails. Pildu climbs on top of him and tries to stab him with the screwdriver. Kang-moo resists with all his strength, but little by little, he begins to lose. Pildu forces the screwdriver down and slowly stabs him. Kang-moo screams in pain and begs him to stop. But Pildu does not stop. Instead, he shouts in rage, demanding to know who killed his mother. Time passes. The factory door opens, and through the smoke, Pildu walks out with a grim expression on his face.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage, and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon.